Welcome to all of you. Today we discuss the pharmacology of antibiotics that is helpful for competitive exam preparations. Let us start with the questions and their answers. What does the term antibiotic means? What is mean by antibiotic? The substances produced by some microorganisms and their synthetic analogues that selectively kill or inhibit the growth of another microorganism. This is called antibiotic. Next, bactericidal effect is destroying of bacterial cells. Next, bacteriostatic effect is inhibition of bacterial cell division. Next, minimum duration of antibacterial treatment usually is not less than 5 days. Next, which of the following antibiotic contains a beta-lactam ring in their chemical structure? That are penicillins, cephalosporin, carbapenems and monobactams. Next, the drug belonging to antibiotic macrolide, that is erythromycin. Next, the drug belonging to antibiotic carbapenem, that is imipenem. Next, the drug belonging to antibiotic monobactams, that is azthrionam. Next, the drug belonging to lincosamide, that is lincomycin. Next, the drug belonging to nitrobenzene derivative, that is chloramphenicol. Next, the drug belonging to glycopeptide antibiotic, that is vancomycin. Next, antibiotics inhibiting the bacterial cell wall synthesis are beta-lactam antibiotics. Next, antibiotic inhibiting bacterial RNA synthesis is rifampin. Next, antibiotics altering permeability of cell membrane are polymyxins. Next, the following antibiotics inhibit the protein synthesis in bacterial cells, that is macrolides, aminoglycosides and tetracyclines. Next, which drug is a gastric acid resistant, that is penicillin V. Next, which of the following drug is penicillinase resistant, that is oxacillin, and another drug is dicloxacillin. Next, mechanism of penicillin's antibacterial effect is inhibition of transpeptidation in the bacterial cell wall. Next, the beta-lactamase inhibitor for co-administration with penicillin is clavulanic acid, sulbactam and tazobactam. Next, the following antibiotics are macrolides, that is erythromycin, clarithromycin and roxithromycin. These are macrolide antibiotics. Next, tetracycline have following unwanted effect, that is irritation of gastrointestinal mucosa, phototoxicity, hepatotoxicity, anti-anabolic effect, dental hypoplasia and bone deformities. These are the side effects of tetracyclines. Next, the drug belonging to antibiotic aminoglycoside, that is gentamicin. Next, aminoglycosides have the following unwanted effect, that is ototoxicity and nephrotoxicity. Next, the characteristics of chloramphenicol. This is the broad spectrum antibiotic and demonstrate a bactericidal effect. Next, chloramphenicol has the following unwanted effect, that is pancytopenia and gray baby syndrome. Next, the characteristics of lincosamide. This influence mainly the anaerobic organism gram-positive cocci. Next, lincosamide have the following unwanted effect, that is pseudomembranous colitis. Next, the characteristics of vancomycin. It is a glycopeptide. It inhibits cell wall synthesis and is active only against gram-positive bacteria. Next, obligatory anaerobes. They do not tolerate oxygen and die in presence of oxygen. Next, vancomycin has the following unwanted effect: red neck syndrome and phlebitis. Next, which of the following drug is used for systemic and deep mycotic infection treatment? That is amphotericin B, antifungal drug. Next, the drug used for dermatomycosis treatment, that is crisofulvin. Next, a drug which causes pink to brownish skin pigmentation within few weeks of initiation of therapy, that is clofazimine, that is anti-leprotic drug. Next, the following drug is used for candidiasis treatment, that is miconazole. Next, azoles have an antifungal effect because of reduction of ergosterol synthesis. Reduction of ergosterol synthesis in fungal cell membrane is the mechanism of action of azole, that is ketoconazole. Next, the following drugs alter permeability of candida cell membrane, that is nystatin. Next, amphotericin B has following unwanted effect, that is renal impairment and anemia. Next, the drug belonging to antibiotics having a polyene structure, that is nystatin. Next, the following drug demonstrate a fungicidal effect, that is terbinafine, ketoconazole, miconazole, except amphotericin B, that is fungiostatic. Next, characteristics of polyenes are following: they alter the structure and function of cell membrane, these are broad spectrum, and they induce nephrotoxicity and hepatotoxicity as side effect. Next, characteristics of amphotericin B: used for systemic mycotic treatment, poor absorption from the gastrointestinal tract, influence the permeability of fungal cell membrane. This is the mechanism of action: influence the permeability of fungal cell membrane. Next, mechanism of sulfonamide antibacterial effect is inhibition of dihydroteroate synthase. Next, combination of sulfonamides with trimethoprim increases the antimicrobial activity. Next, sulfonamide potency is decreased in case of co-administration with local anesthetic derivative of para-aminobenzoic acid. Next, the measures are necessary for prevention of sulfonamide precipitation and crystalluria. Taking of drinks with alkaline pH. Taking of drink with alkaline pH reduces the sulfonamide side effects like crystalluria. Next, the drug effective against mycobacteria only, that is isoniazid. Next, the antimycobacterial drug belonging to first line agent, that is isoniazid. Next, the antimycobacterial drug belonging to second line agent, that is PAS, para-aminosalicylic acid. Next, the antimycobacterial drug belonging to antibiotic, that is rifampin. Next, the antimycobacterial drug hydrazide of isonicotinic acid, that is isoniazid. Next, mechanism of isoniazid action is inhibition of mycolic acid synthesis. Next, mechanism of rifampicin action is inhibition of DNA dependent RNA polymerase. Next, mechanism of cycloserine action is inhibition of cell wall synthesis. Next, mechanism of streptomycin action is inhibition of protein synthesis. Next, rifampin unwanted effects: flu-like syndrome and tubular necrosis. Next, isoniazid has following unwanted effect, that is hepatotoxicity and peripheral neuropathy. Next, ethambutol has the following unwanted effect: that is retrobulbar neuritis with red-green color blindness. Next, streptomycin unwanted effects are ototoxicity and nephrotoxicity. Next, mechanism of aminosalicylic acid action is inhibition of folate synthesis. Next, combined chemotherapy of tuberculosis is used to decrease mycobacterium drug resistance. Next, antibacterial drug, a nitrofuran derivative is nitrofurantoin. Next, the antibacterial drug, a nitroimidazole derivative, that is metronidazole. Next, antibacterial drug, quinolone derivative, that is nalidixic acid. Next, antibacterial drug, fluoroquinolone derivative, that is ciprofloxacin. Next, the indication for nitrofuran. Indication means uses. For nitrofurans, infection of urinary and gastrointestinal tract. Next, the indications for metronidazole is intra-abdominal infections, vaginitis and enterocolitis. Next, the unwanted effect of metronidazole, that is nausea, vomiting, diarrhea and stomatitis. Next, the mechanism of fluoroquinolone action is inhibition of DNA gyrase. Next, fluoroquinolones are active against variety of gram-negative and positive microorganisms including mycoplasma and chlamydia. Next, the indication for fluoroquinolones, infections of the urinary and respiratory tract and bacterial diarrhea. Next, the drug of choice for syphilis treatment is penicillin. Next, the drug used for malaria chemoprophylaxis and treatment is chloroquine. Next, the drug used for amoebiasis treatment, that is iodoquinol. Next, the drug used for trichomoniasis treatment, that is metronidazole. Next, the drug used for balantidiasis treatment, that is tetracycline. Next, the drug used for leishmaniasis treatment, that is sodium stilbogluconate. Next, the antimalarial drug belonging to 8-aminoquinoline derivative, that is primaquine. Next, the following antimalarial drugs are 4-quinoline derivative, that is chloroquine, mefloquine and amodiaquine. Next, the antimalarial drug belonging to pyrimidine derivative, that is pyrimethamine. Next, the antimalarial drug having a gametocidal effect, that is primaquine. Next, the following antimalarial drug influence blood cytones, that is mefloquine, chloroquine and quinidine. Next, the antimalarial drug influencing tissue cytones, that is primaquine. Next, take the antibiotic having antimalarial effect, that is tetracycline. Next, the amebicide drug for the treatment of an asymptomatic intestinal form of amoebiasis, that is diloxanide. Next, the drug for the treatment of a hepatic form of amoebiasis is metronidazole or imetine. Next, the luminal amebicide drug, that is diloxanide. Next, the drug of choice for the treatment of extraluminal amoebiasis is metronidazole. Next, the drug blocking acetylcholine transmission at the myoneural junction of helminths, that is piperazine. Next, nicotinamide mechanism of action is inhibiting oxidative phosphorylation in some species of helminths. Next, praziquantel mechanism of action is increasing cell membrane permeability for calcium resulting in paralysis and dislodgement and death of helminths. Next, piperazine mechanism of action, blocking acetylcholine transmission at myoneural junction and paralysis of helminths. Next, the drug a salicylamide derivative, that is niclosamide. Next, mebendazole mechanism of action, that is inhibiting microtubule synthesis in helminths and irreversible impairment of glucose uptake. Next, the drug for neurocysticercosis treatment, that is praziquantel. Next, the drug for nematodes roundworm invasion treatment, that is pyrantel. Next, the drug for cystodes tapeworm invasion treatment, that is praziquantel. Next, the drug for trematodes fluke invasion treatment, that is bithionol. Next, the drug a benzimidazole derivative, that is mebendazole. Next, the drug for ascariodosis and enterobiosis treatment, that is pyrantel. Next, the drug for strongyloidosis treatment, that is ivermectin. Next, the drug for echinococosis treatment, that is mebendazole or albendazole. Next, the following antiviral drugs are the analogues of nucleosides, that is acyclovir, zidovudine and didanosine. Next, the drug a derivative of amantadine, that is rimantadine. Next, the drug inhibiting viral DNA synthesis, that is acyclovir. Next, the drug inhibiting uncoating of the viral RNA, that is rimantadine. Next, the drug inhibiting viral reverse transcriptase, that is zidovudine. Next, the drug inhibiting viral protease, that is saquinavir. Next, the drug of choice for herpes and cytomegalovirus infection treatment, that is acyclovir. Next, the following antiviral drugs are antiretroviral agent, that is zidovudine, zalcitabine and didanosine. Next, the drug used for influenza A prevention, that is rimantadine. Next, the drug used for HIV infection treatment, a derivative of nucleoside, that is zidovudine. Next, the antiviral drug which belong to endogenous protein, that is interferon alpha. Next, the drug which belong to nucleoside reverse transcriptase inhibitor, that is didanosine. Next, the following antiviral drugs are anti-influenza agent, that is amantadine, interferon and rimantadine. Next, the unwanted effect of zidovudine, that is anemia, neutropenia, nausea and insomnia. Next, the unwanted effects of intravenous acyclovir infusion, that is renal insufficiency, tremor and delirium. Next, the drug that can induce peripheral neuropathy and oral ulceration, that is zalcitabine. Next, the unwanted effect of didanosine is peripheral neuropathy, pancreatitis, diarrhea and hyperuricemia. Next, the unwanted effect of indinavir, nephrolithiasis, means kidney stone, nausea and hepatotoxicity. Next, the following effects are disadvantage of anti-cancer drugs: low selectivity to cancer cells, depression of bone marrow and depression of immune system. These are the disadvantages of anti-cancer drugs. Next, rational combination of anti-cancer drugs is used to provide synergism resulting from the use of anti-cancer drug with different mechanism combinations. Next, the anti-cancer alkylating drugs, a derivative of chloroethylamine, is cyclophosphamide. Next, the anti-cancer alkylating agent, a derivative of ethylenimine, that is thiotepa. Next, the group of hormonal drug used for treatment of cancer, that is glucocorticoids and gonadal hormones. Next, the anti-cancer alkylating drug, a derivative of alkyl sulfonate, that is busulfan. Next, the anti-cancer drug of plant origin, that is vincristine. Next, action mechanism of alkylating agent is producing carbonium ion, altering DNA structure. Next, the anti-cancer drug, a pyrimidine antagonist, that is fluorouracil. Next, methotrexate is folic acid antagonist. Next, the antibiotic for cancer chemotherapy is doxorubicin. Next, fluorouracil belongs to antimetabolites. Next, the action mechanism of anti-cancer drug belonging to plant alkaloid, that is mitotic arrest at metaphase. Next, the anti-cancer drug belonging to inorganic metal complexes, that is cisplatin. Next, action mechanism of methotrexate is inhibition of dihydrofolate reductase. Next, cisplatin unwanted effect, that is nephrotoxicity. Next, the indication for estrogen in oncological practice is cancer of prostate. Next, enzyme drug used for acute leukemia treatment is dihydrofolate reductase. Next, the following drugs are derivative of nitrosoureas, that is carmustine, lomustine and simustine. Next, the group of drugs used as subsidiary medicine in cancer treatment, that is cytoprotectors, bone marrow growth factors and anti-metastatic agents. Next, the estrogen inhibitor is tamoxifen. Next, the anti-androgen drug is flutamide. Next, the drug belonging to aromatase inhibitor is anastrozole. Next, the drug belonging to gonadotropic releasing hormone agonist, that is leuprolide. Next, typhoid fever is caused by Salmonella typhi. Next, antibacterial agent effective against typhoid fever is chloramphenicol. Next, the causative agent for pneumonia, that is Staphylococcus aureus. The effective antibacterial therapy for pneumonia is ampicillin plus cloxacillin. Next, general contraindications for anti-cancer drugs are, contraindication means the disease condition in which the drugs cannot be given, means anti-cancer drugs are not given in which disease state, that is depression of bone marrow, acute infections, severe hepatic and or renal insufficiency. In these cases, anti-cancer drugs are contraindicated. Next, sulfonamides are bacteriostatic in nature. Next, sulfonamides are effective against gram-positive and gram-negative bacteria. Next, sulfonamides are generally metabolized by acetylation. Next, Stevens-Johnson syndrome is associated with sulfonamides. Next, triple sulfa is mixture of sulfadiazine, sulfameragine and sulfamethagine. Next, penicillin was discovered by Alexander Fleming. Next, broad spectrum penicillin include ampicillin, this is broad spectrum penicillin. Next, cloxacillin and dicloxacillin are acid and penicillinase resistant penicillin. Next, tetracycline act by inhibiting protein synthesis. Next, tetracycline are administered with milk because insoluble chelate is formed. Because of that, tetracycline should not be administered with milk. Next, superinfection is adverse effect of tetracycline. Next, The antibiotic effective against Pseudomonas aeruginosa responsible for eye infection is gentamicin. Next, ototoxicity is important side effect of streptomycin. Next, nystatin is principally effective in Candida albicans. Next, pyridoxine is administered with isoniazid to minimize neurotoxicity. Next, rifampicin is produced by Streptomyces mediterraneae. Next, antibiotic effective against leprosy, that is rifampin. Next, metronidazole is effective in amoebic dysentery. Next, antibiotic used in amoebic dysentery, that is paramomycin. Next, casual prophylactic agent in malaria, that is primaquine. Next, antimalarial act at erythrocytic stage, that is chloroquine. Next, the combination is used in chloroquine resistant malaria, that is pyrimethamine and sulfadoxine combination is used in chloroquine resistant malaria. Next, the enzyme used in treatment of cancer, that is L-asparginase. Next, methotrexate is antimetabolite. Next, the slow metabolism of isoniazid in Africans is due to genetic variation. Next, penicillin is inactivated by beta-lactamase. Next, the Streptomyces venezuela produces chloramphenicol. Next, sulfonamides are effective against bacteria and chlamydia, actinomyces and protozoa. Next, sulfonamide have the following unwanted effects, that is hemopoietic disturbances and crystalluria. Next, take the unwanted effect of fluoroquinolones, that is headache, dizziness and insomnia. Next, the unwanted effect of nitrofurans, that is allergic reactions and hemolytic anemia. Next, the drug used for toxoplasmosis treatment, that is pyrimethamine. Next, the drug used for trypanosomosis treatment, that is melarsoprol. Next, the drug for treatment of an intestinal form of amoebiasis, that is metronidazole and diloxanide. Next, the drug inhibiting oxidative phosphorylation in some species of helminths, that is niclosamide. Next, the broad spectrum drug for cystidosis, trematodisis and cysticercosis treatment is praziquantel. Next, the drug, a derivative of pyrophosphate, that is foscarnate. Superbug, the term used to describe strain of bacteria that are resistant to the majority of antibiotic called superbug. Next, first generation cephalosporin, that is cephalexin, cefadroxil and cefazolin. Next, second generation cephalosporin, that is cefoxitin and cefuroxime. Next, third generation cephalosporin, that is ceftriaxone. Next, fourth generation cephalosporin, that is cefepime. Next, fifth generation cephalosporin, that is ceftrolin. Next, metronidazole, affecting the structure of DNA molecule of anaerobic bacteria. This is the mechanism of action of metronidazole. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you.